Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. I am your host, Lorna, certified food freedom coach and founder of the Ditch Decade Diets Academy. I've spent 10 years in an unhealthy relationship with food, binge eating, over-exercising, and feeling insecure in my body. This podcast is all about helping you get to the root of your food struggles and teaching you how to rewire your brain so you can end binge eating. If you're ready to improve your relationship with food and cultivate more self-love towards yourself and your health, this is the podcast for you. So let's get to it and jump right in. All right, we are on day 18 of how to stop binge eating. I'm doing a 30-day TikTok series where every single day I share with you a specific tool, strategy to help you stop binge eating. So day 18 is all about breaking out of the diet binge cycle. And I'm going to share how to specifically do this. So binge eating is a habit. Hey, Bella. Hi, Bella. Hey, Julia. So binge eating is a habit. And every single time that you feel the urge to binge and you give in, you are further ingraining this habit into your brain. And if you've noticed, if you think back to like the hi Karen, the very first time that you've ever binged. I remember I was in grade school and all of a sudden I just like came home and I started like eating my face off and I had no idea that I was actually binging, but I like just found myself in the middle of like just eating so much. Nobody was home. I came home from school after like not eating all day and I just had absolutely no control. And as I kept doing that, I didn't have a name to it. I remember telling my mom, like, I am like, my stomach is killing me. Like, I'm so full. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know why I just eat so much. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, I just couldn't stop. And I kept on doing that. And it became harder and harder and harder for me to not give in. There would be some days on like the first few years of me struggling where I could not give in. But it got to a point after 10 years that I had no choice, but I needed to give in to my urges. Can you guys relate to that? Like, who here is like, my urges to binge feel so freaking strong? How many of you guys are like, yep, that's me? We have the same name. I know. It's crazy because not many people have the name Lorna. How many of you guys feel like your urges to binge are so flippin' strong? Let me know if you can. Absolutely so strong and also so isolating. Well, I see you. You're not alone. You're not alone. I know those urges to binge can feel so freaking strong. Hey, Kimberly. So as you continue to give into your urges become stronger. And here is why. Think about any habit in your life. Whether it's brushing your teeth, it's making your bed, maybe it is, pouring your cup of coffee in the morning, like you do a routine. Maybe it's like you go to the same pathway to work. You don't have to think, you're on autopilot, right? Making your bed, going to the gym, working out. Like if you consistently do something over and over and over again, it becomes easier. And that's amazing. Oh, Kimberly, thanks for the follow. When you do a habit over and over and over again, that's a good thing because that habit becomes easier and it becomes on autopilot. And you want that for these good habits, making your bed, brushing your teeth. But when it comes to binge eating, unfortunately, it is also a habit. So every time you feel the urge to binge and you give in, this habit becomes easier to engage in and that much harder to break. So to end the diet binge cycle, you need to rewire your brain out of these habitual cycles. So how you started binging was by continuing to give into your urges. And so how to break out of binge eating, you have to practice not giving into your urges over and over and over and over again. I got to stop the binge. Luckily, I had gastric sleeve 8 years ago, but I still have it in my head. Yes, and that's the thing. gastric sleeve doesn't reprogram your brain. It doesn't change your thoughts around food. It doesn't help you release food guilt. It doesn't get rid of the food noise. In fact, it usually exacerbates it, right? And it also doesn't get to the root of like why you felt the need to always self-soothe with food, right? And this is why it's so important to actually get to the root of it. And this is what I help my clients with. So binge eating is a habit, right? So if you want to reprogram your brain, you guys are all here because you want to sustainably end your binge eating for good. And how you do that is you got to practice not giving into your urges. But like I said, this is not do it once and you're going to be binge free. Repetition is key to rewire your brain. Can you drop repetition is key in the chat? I love when my lives are interactive. This is just the way that I am. So drop repetition is key in the chat. Repetition is key. Repetition is key. Repetition is key. Remember that. So that every single time that you don't give into an urge, you have to remind yourself, this is a big deal. I am rewiring my brain. How often do you not give into an urge to binge and you're like, oh, well, whatever, if just not one time, whatever, like I'm obviously going to have another binge tomorrow. So like, whatever. It wasn't really that big of a deal that I didn't give in today. It is a big deal because every time you don't give in, you are rewiring your brain. So you don't give into an urge today. And guess what? Tomorrow or the next time you have an urge, it's going to be less intense. You don't give into an urge tomorrow. Guess what? The next urge is going to be less intense. If that is not motivation to not give into your urges, I don't know what is. And for me, it was so like, it gave me so much hope because it feels so defeating when you're binging and you're feeling out of control with food. And it feels like, how am I ever going to break out of these cycles? But one urge at a time. Repetition is key to rewire your brain. So one urge at a time, you don't give into the next urge. The next one's going to be easier to not give into, right? Like the example of making your bed, or brushing your teeth, or tying your shoe as a kid. You tie your shoe maybe as a kid and you're like, wait, how did it go again? And maybe you're frustrated and you're fumbling all over the place. Or riding a bike. You're riding a bike, you need training wheels and you're all over the place. Maybe you crash, you fall, but you get back up on that bike and you keep going over and over again. And they're like, look, Mom, no hands, right? And it becomes easier. Don't give in to the urge to overconsume. Yes, exactly, Amy. Yes. So what you meant is like, allow yourself to honor your cravings, but don't give in to the urge 100%. Not giving myself enough credit for small wins. Yes, so important, so important. And your freaking name is Star? Like, you should be the star of the show and like celebrating yourself so much more. I found having a decent protein-loaded breakfast is so helpful. Absolutely. Is it normal to feel pain when or after binge eating? So that's binge eating. You're eating until you're physically sick. Like I used to be on the toilet holding my stomach because I was in so much pain because I just ate so much. And it's common, but it's not normal. And there's a big difference. Thinking about food all day long is common. It's not normal. Eating until you're so physically sick is common, but it's not normal. Having crazy food thoughts is common, but it's not normal. And I say that to help you guys all feel less alone, because you should not feel alone. There's so many people that are going through binge eating and an unhealthy relationship with food, and it's not talked about enough. However, it also is not normal. And when I recognized that, when I used to struggle with binge eating, I was like, okay, thank God I'm not alone. But also, I don't want to live this way anymore. I have big dreams, I have big goals, and I don't want to have my foot on the brake pedal and not be able to do anything because food is controlling my life. I don't want to be in the passenger seat. I want to get into the driver's seat. I'm ready to freaking go. I got big goals and big dreams, and I don't want food to control me. Like I want to be in the driver's seat of my life. And so repetition is key to rewiring your brain. So you've got to practice not giving into your urges. What else do you need to do? You got to change your thoughts. So it's very easy to maybe like one day you're feeling confident in your own skin and maybe, you're like, okay, like maybe, I don't know, you give yourself a compliment. That might be really, really hard for you.
But you can't just speak kindly to yourself once. Repetition is key. So again, changing your thoughts, not just once, not just twice, over and over and over again. How are you speaking to yourself on a regular basis? That matters. Not restricting yourself. You can't just do it one day and be like, I didn't restrict today, but then you continue to restrict. Repetition is key. Meditating. Meditating is an amazing tool that can help reprogram your brain, because there's an area of your brain right here. It's called the prefrontal cortex, and it changes the size, the thickness, and the amount of folds in the prefrontal cortex here that is responsible for helping you make more rational decisions with food. It helps you become less impulsive. But meditating once is going to help, but it's not going to reprogram your brain, because again, repetition is key. So you meditate once, pat yourself on the back, jump up and down, celebrate yourself, but you got to do it over and over and over again. Breath work is another tool that I use with my clients to help regulate their nervous systems. Breath work, incredible tool, but doing it once is not going to be enough. Repetition is key. And this is also why, like, you know, being part of a community, having the proper support is so important to help you keep going. Because again, it's not just not giving into your urge once or meditating once. You have to form a habit. Yes, Kimberly, exactly. And that's, it all goes hand in hand. Hey, Courtney, it all goes hand in hand, because it's like binge eating is a habit, but we need to form other habits through repetition to create that pattern interrupt. 100%. Is it normal to have a puffy face for a week after a 2-day binge? Again, common, not normal, right? So, I mean, after a binge, of course you're going to feel inflamed. I remember not even being able to put on leggings. I could not wear leggings. I had to throw on sweatpants or baggy shorts and a baggy t-shirt, because I was so inflamed. And not just like the next day, like for a full week. People asked me if I was pregnant. I felt so inflamed, puffy face, my whole body, my arms felt massive. Like they just felt swollen. Everything felt swollen. So again, Amy, it's very common, of course, when you're consuming thousands of calories or hundreds of calories. And a lot of the times when you're binging, it's usually not on broccoli or chicken. It's usually foods that are higher in sugar, salt, sodium, and that also leads to the inflammation as well too. Okay. If you guys have any questions, I can stay on a little bit longer. If you guys have any questions, you can drop it in the chat. But today I really wanted to focus on reminding you guys that binge eating is a habit. So celebrate yourself every time you don't give into an urge, but also you got to do it consistently over and over and over again. Who else is on here? Brenda's here, Marilyn, Halen, Mackenzie, Sima, Lindsay, Ellen, Diana, Amy, Sarah. Okay, if you guys have any questions, drop it in the chat. Kimberly said, is it normal not to feel guilty while you overeat? I never do, sadly. So no, I mean, the thing is, again, because it's a habit, it almost is like you just kind of normalize it, and this is just what I do. So there are some people who will just eat a lot and not feel guilty, right? However, you have to really ask yourself, okay, although I don't feel bad about doing it, like, do I want to be spending my days like over consuming? Maybe how do you feel the next day? So maybe you don't feel guilty, but maybe you don't have a lot of energy. Maybe you don't want to be intimate with your partner. I can eat happy or sad, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And that's because food is your source of pleasure, right? So whether it's I'm sad and I need to get that dopamine hit, or I need to feel I need to feel happy, or it's like I'm already happy and it's like, okay, like I need to celebrate. Like food's just been your best friend. And now you have to remind yourself of like, there's so many other ways in your life that you can experience joy and pleasure, comfort, without self-soothing. If you binge on carrots or tofu, is that normal? So Gabrielle, great question. So again, most people binge on highly palatable foods, foods high in sugar, carbs, and fat. However, there were definitely times on my journey where I would be binging on like rice and chicken, or like grapes or straw. Like I would just be eating a crap ton. So again, it's not about what you're eating so much, or even how much you're eating, but how do you feel while eating? So if you are doing it in secret and you have no control and you're standing up and you're in autopilot mode, that's not normal, right? But also binging in general, again, it's not normal no matter if you binge on carrots or celery or crackers or ice cream. It's also not normal. No, it's not normal to eat until you're so sick. How can I quiet the food noise so I can avoid the binge? I get stuck on thinking about the food. So most people who are thinking about food are restricting. Here's what happens. Most people are trying to avoid the binge, so they restrict. They don't allow themselves to have the cookie or the chocolate or the ice cream or whatever it is that they want, because it's a slippery slope. I don't want to start, because once I start, I can't stop. So I'm not even going to bother having the ice cream or the cookie or the chocolate. And then what do? All you do is think about the chocolate, the ice cream, and the cookie. That's one scenario. Another reason why the food noise happens is you're just not honoring your hunger. I remember thinking about food all day long. And that was because I would push off my hunger. So I'd be hungry, but I'd be at a social event and I was like, I don't want to eat in front of other people. So I would just not eat. And then what do you think I thought about? What I was going to binge on when I got home. So whether you're not honoring your cravings, you're going to think about food. Whether you are waiting too long to eat. Another one too is if you're following any type of rules. So if you're tracking your calories, if you're telling yourself you can't eat after 7 o'clock, if you're telling yourself only 1 tablespoon of almond butter, or you're not having these satisfying meals, you're going to think about food, right? So let's say, for example, you're craving, let's say you're craving some chocolate and you're like, well, I have to do good, so I'm just going to have some strawberries. So then you have the strawberries and then all you're thinking about is the chocolate. And it would have been so much better. You would have not thought about the chocolate if you just allowed yourself to have the chocolate in the first place. So a few things there, Sarah, that I would really consider. Again, yes, you want to avoid giving into the urges, but don't confuse that with not honoring your cravings. If you're craving something, honor that, right? If you're craving something sweet, honor that. It's more when you're having this like out of body experience and it's like you have to give in right away. That's the urge, compared to like, oh, I would love some chocolate, or you're out for lunch and I really want the sandwich, but I probably shouldn't because of the carbs. No, you want to honor that. Okay. I'm not fussy on what it is either. I'll eat anything as long as it's not carrots. It's a lot of mindset I've learned 100%. This is why I always talk about rewiring your brain. And in fact, I actually have a program coming up starting next week, and it's called Master Your Mind for a Binge-Free Life. And I literally teach you exactly how to master your mind, how to become somebody who believes in your ability to conquer binge eating, how to get out of the all or nothing mentality so that you can have a cookie and move on with your day versus saying, oh, I failed, I messed up, and now I'm just going to binge for the rest of the day, and tomorrow I'm going to restart. How many of you guys promise yourself tomorrow is going to be better? How many of you guys promise yourself, I'll do better on Monday? I used to be the queen of self-sabotage. I would eat healthy and then I would, somebody would ask me to go out for lunch and I'm like, plans are ruined. Okay, well, might as well go home and binge. And I would eat until I was sick. I'd go into the cupboards and be like, what do I normally not have? And then I would eat all of those foods. And then I would literally just binge until I was physically sick. And then I would try to do better tomorrow. And that was the constant cycle, because that doesn't fix your relationship with food. Getting out of the all or nothing mentality will. So if you guys can relate with, having the all or nothing mentality, you've had maybe a few binge-free days here or there, but you want to sustainably end your binge eating, message me on my Instagram. I'll share some details about this program. We start next week. Does binging cause intestinal problems? So my binging caused a lot of digestive issues for me personally when I used to binge. Because if you think about it, when you don't eat and then you consume so many calories, that is so hard on your body. Your body is like, what are you doing to me? It's hard on your metabolism. You have to try to break down that food. And I was even telling my clients, I said, just even breaking down a meal, like a normal size meal, it's a lot for your body to do. So imagine binging and having all those calories. Your body has to work extra harder to break down that food and to digest. And, it causes a lot of gut health issues. So, and that was a huge reason why I wanted to stop my binge eating, because I didn't want to just not be thinking about food, but I wanted to live a healthy life. I wanted to have lots of energy. I wanted to have good gut health. I wanted to take really good care of myself. And binging was just exacerbating a lot of other issues. Is your name the same on Instagram? Kimberly, yes, it is. I'd love to hear from you. I know you just started following me. Beauty influencer, Kimberly in the house. I love it. Okay. What it is that I just want, what is it that I just want to eat, but I don't have feelings for any particular food? Okay, so if you are wanting to eat, but you don't have a specific, I want this or I want that, that is boredom. That is habitual. So if you're sitting here, great question, Dita. So if you're sitting here and you're like, oh, I would really love, I don't know, some crackers and dip or some chips and dip, whatever it is, that's a craving because it's very specific and it's particular. If you're sitting here and you're just like finding yourself like thinking about food, maybe you walk to the pantry, you open up the pantry, you close the pantry, you sit back down, and then you still think about what you want, and then you go back and there's not really anything you're wanting. You're not wanting food. It's boredom. You're trying to fill the void. And so many people can't sit with themselves. So many people can't sit with themselves while they're watching TV, so I have to eat. So many people can't sit with themselves because this is uncomfortable. I got to fill this uncomfortability and I'm just going to eat to self-soothe. So, Dita, if you're not having any feelings or cravings for a particular food, you're not actually hungry for food. You might be hungry for, there's so many other basic human needs: comfort, relaxation, other sources of joy, other sources of pleasure. So I would really ask yourself, like, what do I actually want? Clearly, there's nothing that I really want, so I'm not wanting food. And if you would know if you're hungry. So I'm just bored right now. I'm just wanting to fill this void right now. Can I sit in a little bit of this discomfort, knowing that I'm safe to do so? Good questions. Okay, any other questions before I pop off? We got Diana on. Lindsay, do you have any questions, Lindsay? Alex, Lisa, Maritza, Marilyn, Dita, hopefully that was helpful. It makes sense. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You are so welcome, Dita. How to fill the void? Well, the first thing is, the way that I tell my clients is, you want to start adding in more joy and more pleasure into your life so that your life is so filled with joy that you don't need to turn to a false sense of pleasure through food. So when your life is not filled with joy because you're binging and you're isolating yourself and you're staying at home, it's like when you're sitting in feelings of discomfort, you need pleasure somehow. And if you're not getting it through other sources in your life, it's 2 seconds, you get a dopamine hit, right? 2 seconds, you get a boost of dopamine. So to fill the void, I would say you need to start adding more joy and pleasure in your life but also reminding yourself that you don't need to be doing something all the time. And I talk a lot about this with my clients about healing your relationship with rest. So when you have a hard time sitting in the nothingness, you go and you distract and you stay busy and you do this and you do this and you do this and you do this because it's like, I can't sit with myself. So I need to always be doing something. But there is something so beautiful about allowing yourself to just slow down and relax. But so many people feel uncomfortable with that. And then it's like, I need to always be doing something. So you're either going to go and eat or you're going to people please and do everything for other people and put yourself last. So then the only thing that you have capacity for is to eat. So let me know if that makes sense, Maritza. Adding more joy, adding more pleasure into your life, but also being okay with just not doing anything. Being okay with sitting there and watching TV without needing to eat something, right? And again, that will happen the more joy and pleasure you have in your life. Aunt Lisa said, what do you think? It's so funny, I'm like, Aunt Lisa. What do you think about GLP-1? Is that an injection? Doesn't sound like it's anything that I'm into, so heck no. I help my clients sustainably end binge eating through releasing food rules, not giving into their urges. I want to help you sustainably end your binge eating so you don't have to be doing these crazy other things. I don't even know what GLP is. It maybe is an injection or something crazy like that. No, let's just not do that. Let's just not do that. Okay. There's so many quick fixes out there and I'm not interested in them at all. Hey, Jessica. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions, you guys? By the way, if you haven't yet listened to the podcast, check out the podcast, the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. I'm also doing a giveaway on Sunday for anyone who leaves a rating and a review on the podcast, and you take a screenshot and you message it to me. I'm choosing 2 people to win a masterclass bundle with me. And all of these trainings are how to rewire your brain, how to stop eating when you're full, and how to transition yourself out of binge eating. I've already given away it to 4 people, and I'm choosing 2 more people on Sunday. So if you rate and review the podcast, take a little screenshot and message it to me, your name will be entered into the giveaway and you'll have a chance to win. This is like 4 hours of trainings on how to stop binge eating completely for free. So I'll be choosing those 2 winners on Sunday. Hey, Hannah. Okay, when I eat healthy and include protein in my meals, I'm still eating and I can't stop. So this is the thing, eating healthy is amazing, but it's the intention behind it. So by the way, Lisa, let me know if that answered your question, or if you want to share more about what it is. I didn't want to feel like I was dismissing your question. If you want to let me know specifically what it is, I can share my honest feedback on it, but I'm just assuming that it's like an injection or something like that, but let me know. I see you. Okay. Okay, back to this question of when I eat healthy, I'm still eating and I can't stop. So again, eating healthy is incredible. But if your intention is, I have to eat healthy, I have to have protein at every single one of my meals, then what ends up happening is you're not actually having satisfying meals and you're forcing yourself to have this healthy meal instead of what it is that you actually wanted. So you have your healthy meal, you're not satisfied, and then you can't stop because you're not satisfied. So you're full, but you're not satisfied, and satisfaction is so important. So I still eat healthy to this day. And it's important to eat nutritious foods because you want to feel good, right? You want to have energy, you want to feel amazing. But when you're doing it for the sole purpose of, I really want the fries, but I probably shouldn't, so I'm just going to have the salad, and then you have a salad and you're like, I don't even I really wanted the fries, then again, it's like you're going to have the salad and then you're going to have the fries anyways. So eating healthy is important, but do not have it be a set of rules of like, I have to have protein at every meal, or I need to eat super healthy. You need to start honoring your cravings and what your body is actually wanting. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much. Hi, Robin. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this lovely Friday. It was so amazing chatting with you guys. Yeah, so this is day 18. Oh, here. I've been reading that we all have GLP-1 receptor hormones. Okay, you're continuing to. Hi, Robin. I feel like you've been following me for so long, Robin. Is that true? I just like recognize your name. Let me know. Lisa's still dropping something. Yes, okay. I'm like, I feel like I just like seen your name for so long. And I'm like, I remember you. I don't think we've ever had a conversation before. Maybe we did. But I like look whenever you guys like comment on my videos, I like look you guys up. Not like, no, I don't stalk you guys. That's fucking crazy. But I just mean like I remember your name. Like it means so much to me that you guys are here. Okay, so Lisa said basically it's like a hormone. Well, again, like you don't have to go to extremes. Like you don't have to do any crazy things. Like to stop your binge eating, you need to release your food rules. You got to release the guilt. You need to honor your cravings. You got to practice not giving into your urges. Like this is what it is required to stop binge eating. You don't have to do anything extreme. I learned so much from your post. Amazing. I just keep eating even though I'm full. It's like I'm always thinking about my next meal. Yes, Shira, I just spoke about this. And again, it's like if you're not satisfied, you will feel full and you'll continue eating because you're not satisfied. So you guys need to practice satisfaction. I don't know what day it was that I talked about satisfaction on my page. I'm doing this 30-day TikTok series. So if you go back to my page, and you'll see like day 1, day 2, day 3, I talk about satisfaction. But if you want to be able to stop eating when you're full, you need to have more satisfying meals. If you want to stop thinking about your next meal, you actually need to feel satisfied. Like if you eat a meal and you didn't really enjoy it, you're going to be like, when's my next meal? And you're going to be fantasizing about it versus having something that you actually enjoy, then you can just move on with your day. So really make that a goal of yours, Shira. You're welcome, Marilyn. Thanks for coming on. All right, you guys will have an amazing rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow for another live stream. Go check out the podcast, the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. Enter the giveaway. If you guys are interested in winning a 3-part masterclass with me on how to rewire your brain, on how to stop eating when you're full, and how to transition yourself out of binge eating. I'm choosing 2 winners on Sunday. So just rate and review the podcast, take a screenshot, message it to me on my Instagram, and your name will be entered to win. All right, you guys, have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.